Patch 1.0c.
Herzog 2
is not even an RTS. Dune 2 is the first RTS. Once upon a time we celebrated a new year at my uncle's, who is 1 year older than me. When we got our presents, I got some Rainbow Siege and he got a collection of strategic games. He already owned most of them, and I didn't like FPS games at the time. Especially the Rainbow Six, that we installed then and proceeded to spend a couple of hours restarting the game, lining up our teammates at a wall and executing them. He showed me the games on the strategy CD, and I instantly saw what I liked. The disc had Pharaoh. I loved Egypt. Caesar 2-3, AoE 1-2, and a game that didn't work. COS pirated CDs are top quality. And that's how I've got into AoE, maybe a bit too much, for no reason. Age of Empires is one of the games I own the most copies of. First I've used that disc until it died. Then when the game was finally officially released in the biggest region on Earth for the first time in 2005, I've bought it. It's the Gold Edition version. Then we finally got the second game released officially for the first time in 2007. And it was the Platinum Collection with both AoE included. Also the original Age of Empires 2, the Conquerors 1.0c refused to work with Cyrillic, so the official disc contains NOCD stolen from pirates. I am using that disc, and the game runs just fine on Windows 10 as is. No need for UPatch HD. The game does freeze for a second sometimes, though. The original release has an awesome install screen. I kinda plan to finish AoEDE super fast, but I'm glad I am this unfocused. I started playing that in June 2022, finished the first 2 campaigns in early July, but finally completed it only in 2024 April, after trying out nearly all earlier true RTS releases and finishing some. Now I see that Age of Empires has some actual innovation. It's not just a better Warcraft 2 in a new setting, banking on the popularity of Civilization games. Today people see this control scheme as the most intuitive and obvious for the genre. But in reality the split between Warcraft 2 and CNC control schemes remained for years. The RTS market was literally made of CNC clones. Warcraft has somewhat improved the GUI, but it was just a Dune 2 clone. CNC came out earlier than Warcraft 2 and was a big evolution over Dune 2. Warcraft 2 controls camp was not gaining momentum, yet AoE joined the Warcraft 2 team, maybe tipping the scales with its own popularity. Ironically, even the remasters of the first CNCS have the Warcraft 2 controls as an option. AoE took the peasants' economy and upgrades, including town centers' ages, of Warcraft 2, took the historical setting of super popular Civilization games, and all the improvements of CNC and combined them together. The 3 elements that were the most popular or the most evolutionary at the time. That's why all non-mainstream RTS games are forgotten. When people whine about the supposed golden age of RTS genre, they can only name Nouncraft, CNC, and AoE IPs. No one remembers anything else, not even the great games. Not having played AoE for many years, I had a better opinion about it than about AoE 2, which basically never left my life, while the times were a-changing. My biggest beef with AoE 2 is the demented Combined Arms AI. In Warcraft 2, CNC and in AoE mono-unit packs and Combined Arms packs behave the same. And they behave the same as solitary units. But in AoE 2 Combined Arms packs work worse than every RTS before it. And worse than single unit selection. Meanwhile mono-unit packs, especially ranged forces, mostly behave significantly better than anything before. And better than StarCraft. Instead of the stupid formations no one uses outside of eSpotsballers for micro, and even that happens only at the highest level of PvP, they should have added more stances. Like a stance for the current behavior of shooting from the maximum possible range and spreading in a circle. And a stance for volley shooting, when units don't stop in their tracks to start shooting until everyone in a blob is in range. That would eliminate the undesirable circle spreading, especially in this original game without attack move, or the new butt bumping in AoE 4. Pathfinding is mediocre, not the worst. The unit AI is sometimes even worse than in Warcraft 2. The game does not run on a big grid anymore and the distances are much larger. So military units have trouble seeking targets automatically. And there's no attack move. So when the battle starts, it's better to decrease the speed and do manual targeting. The units can easily get stuck inside each other and you have to manually untangle them. There are control groups and even a number is displayed next to the units. You can queue walking, which is very early for the genre. If you press Shift, you can create a path, then press RMB to finalize it. With Shift, you can add or subtract units from a selection. The peasants do seek the next target inside profession. Many builders can work the same construction site to speed it up. But they are not smart enough to move out of the way. You have to manually walk away first. You can crush some trees with building sites. There are hotkeys for buildings and for building buildings. The icons are split in two screens to support the micro resolutions. When you advance the age, all the icons match the new look, which is very cool. And only playing the original I remembered it. Not easy to read though until you memorize the hotkeys. You still have to create units one by one with no queue, just like in Dune 2. And thankfully there are hotkeys for game speed. Pity, it's not as good as in AoE 2 HD, especially when you are just idling to get those 2000 food for an upgrade, and then wait 20 to 30 minutes to produce 22 units from 3 separate buildings at max speed. The settings starting with the Stone Age and chariots is pretty rare still, especially in RTS games as opposed to historical war games. The Stone Age militia is not that stronger in combat than a peasant. And unlike other games in the series, there's nothing to upgrade in the first age. The task is to reach the Tool Age. The sprites are cartoony but also kinda beautiful. But I really do hate fake gold and stone rocks that are just decorative and only a little smaller than the real ones. Interesting how in real life and in Cossacks peasants change allegiance in presence of an army. But in the AoE series, the peasants are the most dangerous units. As long as even one peasant exists, the enemy cannot be defeated. This is the first RTS to promise that many factions, and to achieve that, it's the first RTS in which the factions have absolutely nothing unique about them. All you get is minor stats differences and just 4 sets of architecture. Even wonders don't have unique sprites, but are a part of the architecture sets. And maybe that's why there are only 4 original campaigns, 1 per architecture set, to not let out just how much the civs are copy-pasted. Ironically, AoE 4 made all its fairly diverse civilizations feel very copy-pasted, because in the post-final age almost all of them have access to basically the same units, or they're close replacements at best. But here, post-Iron Age makes the civs feel different, especially depending on the opponent's civ. The differences between the civilizations are not additive, but subtractive. Every civ has access to toy units, Stone Axeman, Archer and Scout, but not everyone has even the next tier unit available. While I understand that the toy units are their own category due to the different costs, it's still annoying that the next tier is not an upgrade. Especially with bowmen, better bowmen. Peasants throw spears at animals, why not have a spearman as the toy ranged unit? And well, archery is probably 60,000 years old, should as well start in Stone Age. Greek have none of the better archer units. Persians have no academy. Egyptians have no ultimate units at all. When you start a match you have to think which available ultimate unit you want to invest into, and what units your opponent will use. The cost of the last upgrade is so extreme, that outside of artificially dragging the match out, you will pick only one. If you chose academy units, they can be stopped by Helepolyses. But if you went full Helepolyses, a few upgraded stone throwers can melt your army. Your cheap chariots can be a dangerous army, but an opponent with elephants will melt them faster than you can produce them. The problem with the original game is that you can't look up a tech tree at all. The only source for it I've found is the game's manual, where the tree is not too detailed, And the tech dependencies here are way more complex than, I think, in any other AoE. Chariots need wheels, okay, but heavy horse archer wants the best armor, heaviest horsiest need the best swords, and legion demands fanaticism. Farms is the mean to convert one resource into another. Also, it's a fitting mechanic for the chosen topic. Units can't walk over the cabbages, you can't steal someone's cabbages. You need a 2-tile margin around the farm if you need a passage. Many farmers can work on the same farm, but only one will be generating food. It's a bit annoying when one farm ends, and the farmer just starts working with his neighbor and not being selectable by the idle peasant button, added in 1.0c. The trade boats are not free gold generators to send to your enemies or to a conquered port. You actually have to pick what to sell, and they do the trading with some additional mechanics. The minimap doesn't show the fishing spots, so you have to inspect everything by eye, and wait for cycles of animation. Helepolises are hell on earth, if the enemy has nothing to stop them. They are a ranged unit with very high DPS, range, and attack power. A pack of them can annihilate everything. No wonder I remember being very disappointed in AoE 2 with pointless scorpions. The siege units count as people, lions can eat them, and priests can heal them. Ships are constructs, they have to be repaired by peasants. The hoplite line is not trained from the barracks, but from a dedicated building. That's more clutter, but their slow methodical animations do create some veneer about them. Unlike the proper spear plus shield lines, they are solitary units, and while they are strong, they still can be dealt with even without ranged kiting. Fully upgraded legions or cavalry can take on them, especially with manual control, when you focus the damage. DE changed their sprites to be absolutely Roman no matter how you rotate them. But the original unit is a weird amalgamation combining a Greek breastplate, samurai pants, and a tower shield with nondescript markings. It's like they decided to combine all elite infantry into one unit, because they didn't manage to program diverse civilizations. You can overdraft the population, and not just with priests. When you have the last slot, start producing a unit in every possible building. Later games have a lot of tolerable levels of semi-real voice acting for each civilization, which was another USP of the IP. But while the voice lines in this game are iconic,
Erectus.
Units do not speak in any historical language, but neologisms that the designers themselves made up by means such as spelling people's names backwards. Alas, the options menu is not that great. You can change the resolutions, there are separate volume sliders. You can even switch to CNC Nightmare controls, but all of it is inside the match. You have to load a map to change anything. There are no settings in the main menu. And well, the menu is a mess of nested submenus for no reason. At least on Victory the game kicks you out to the ending screen, unlike the sequel.
Hey, nice towel.
Ascent of Egypt Learning Campaign. Farming is a map to teach you farming, but also you can gather your axemen and destroy the enemy. In trade, enemy galleys outkite yours easily. This time I didn't bother to annihilate everyone, I just traded until done. Crusade can be rather tough with how fast ballistas destroy monks. But also you can from the start aggro it with a peasant running around and convert it ASAP, ending the map. River Outpost just asks of you to destroy some towers and build your own. Also, it's a sneaky way to force you into Iron Age. When I was playing, some random lion just attacked a deer. This tutorial campaign is a pretty solid way to teach you the basics of the game, and showcase the new mechanics created for AoE. Yamato, Empire of the Rising Sun. The Assassin starts you with Hero Perseus versus Hero Xerxes. Wow, very neon, such Yamato, wow. There are no free units in the original, so after dealing with giant enemy lions, you can repair bait all the peasants, kite the enemies and bro down. Or maybe go from above. Losing your hero does not end the game. Island hopping is a properly stupid tactical map built around abusing AI with attack ground catapults. It is a mechanic, and it contributes to campaign's diversity, but it's not a good mechanic. In Capture, upgrade Axemen and run towards the yellow, destroying its peasants in town center. Gotta love AoE paradigm. You can aggro a tower and jiggle one targeted Axeman, while the rest are destroying the tower. After yellow is no more, you can build ships to harass and defang brown, repair baiting its peasants. Or you can get a couple of catapult triremes fast and clear the central island until the relic just becomes yours. Mountain Temple is a proper hard map. You have no space, no resources. Fleet domination is impossible because brown 3D prints ships that get upgrades very fast. I had to restart it several times, that's on the easiest, until I remembered, looked up a walkthrough, that this is AoE paradigm. So I got some hobo archers and annihilated the yellow. With his resources, which are still not that impressive, I went directly for coinage since it offers better yield. Oh, so that's why I still had a habit of rushing the gold mining upgrades in the second game, despite that doing nothing. The left island offers a bit more of resources, but not too much. When you are ready to take over the seas with triremes and take vengeance on brown, its island is already barren. I left brown dock alive to trade for gold and get some units for the assault on red. The first part of the Canyon of Death is easier than in the DE since the original towers have dementia. But for the same reason the second part was not a cakewalk. Without manual control, your army just idles while being killed. Oppression is very different from the DE. The tribute demands are very hard to meet, and the end card talks about fleeing and rebuilding. But also enemy's base is filled with catapults. Dancing with a peasant results in them destroying their own government center. A friend in need is inverted in DE. In the original you start in the field, and your ally is behind walls, but it already has enemy forces inside. There's a possibility that this map requires a bit of luck. Right from the start I sent Axemen to destroy the catapults ASAP. When I finished the map, yellow had no units at all, so maybe red could entirely wipe it out. Anyway, you start in the Iron Age, so I upgraded horses a bit and used all my soldiers to penetrate the red and destroy the east side of red's base and repair bait its peasants. I went through the main entrance, but then discovered that the far right side has an easier one. For the main force I built more penultimate horses and some catapults and started the hunt. The game was not ending until I've destroyed every last tower and every last farm. I had to get scouts and find every last red unit on the map. Replacing that with a destroying just the government center in DE speeds things up, but giving you that many horses allowed you to just rush it. Kyushu Revolts is another map where the objective is to hunt down every last remaining peasant on the entire map with no spies. The DE campaign is something like a whole history of Japan, which flip-flops between the factions and doesn't match the title. Here, it's a proper story all about Yamato. Glory of Greece. In the land grab, the starting spot has barely any resources. But yellow to the right of it can be taken out fast. That space has deer and berries. It's a map limited to the second age, so a mix of archers and axes can take out the red. The starting position in Citadel has no gold, so going archers and ships allows to repair bait all the enemy peasants. The goal is to build 2 towers, and there's only 250 stone on the map, so you can accidentally waste it. Thankfully, annihilating red also counts as a victory. Ionian expansion was entirely thrown away in the DE. It's a naval map where you clear out the shores with triremes, and also repair bait enemies' peasants. Use juggernauts to clear the shore and sneak peasants there to build a government center. Trojan War sadly doesn't have you building the horsey. The 2 goals is to touch the artifact and to deal with Hector. Hector loves his long walks on a beach, and that's just his mistake. Your fleet is not for a show. There's gold on 2 islands, and hoplites are as good of a unit as any. I'll be back sounds like a meme map. What is up with that description asking you to find 7 Jew bankers before they dominate the world? It's an easy map to lose on. You just need to reach south with at least 1 unit to get a giant army. But you still need transports on the upper river to return. A river controlled by Yellow Fleet. Siege of Athens is significantly faster than in DE. You already have a lot of phalanxes, get a priest to support them and to steal more while you move towards the artifacts. Wonder is a very short and fast map. Maybe you should send the starting force north for a chance to kill Brown. But most importantly, get stone throwers to annihilate red with attack ground, destroy its wonder, and take its gold. The yellow wonder is reachable without even destroying the wall. So, yeah, the Greek campaign is just a collection of missions, with no proper story feel to it. Voices of Babylon. Holy Man works as intended, as opposed to the broken DE version. And you can deal with red without leaving its camp. You are allowed to reach Iron Age, and you have to entirely genocide yellow. Not a single house can stand. In Tigris Valley, the goal is to get the 2 relics and to bring them to the town center. The red doesn't matter, but the brown will go Iron Age ASAP. Though, it will run out of resources and will rely on AI cheat trickle. It's a naval map and you have no triremes. Haha, good luck. Repair baiting the yellow still works. Lost is a gimmick priest map. You need to wait for a bit and steal the transport ship. Your archers are very strong, and brown is still weak, so you can go in the corner and start stealing brown peasants while destroying its buildings. In the 4th map of the Babylonian campaign, Voices of Babylon, called I Shall Return, you play as Greeks. The Great Hunt is a tactical map which is testing how hard
I can be!
Abuse AI. You start with a petty force and need to run through enemies towards the priests. Then convert more units, use transport ships to marine priests up close to enemies' siege engines in the water, and then reach the final island and get the neutral artifact with something with a big range of vision. The Caravan is another short tactical map. You hug the left border, deal with a couple of red and yellow soldiers, and when you reach the towers just ride the artifact to the temple. In Lord of the Euphrates you can rush swordsman upgrades and take over the red, leaving only its dock so it can be used for trade. An upgraded priest can take all of red's remaining buildings to save some wood. The yellow island is filled with kiting chariot archers, and stone throwers, and towers, so going legion was expensive and not very effective. I had to pivot into the cheap chariots. Nineveh starts you with a couple of ships and a lot of enemies. And that is it. You have to train a priest and steal some peasants from Yellow. So in this ultimate final mission of the Babylonian campaign Voices of Babylon, dedicated to the story of the Babylonian Empire, you play as Egyptians. The campaign is not exactly story-driven, and it has a number of May tactical maps. You don't even always play as Babylonians in their own campaign. The original game has proper small videos for each of the campaigns. Meanwhile, DE spent more money rendering their logos you will never see again than on the in-game multimedia content. There are just a couple of pictures and texts voiced by one-man actor. With that ancient ad/joke about AoE 4 being WW2 and AoE 5 being in space, I think AoE 5 proper needs to be set during AoE Stone Age. They will not make a futuristic or a WW2 game, and having another medieval nonsense is too much. AoE 4 really struggles while AoE 2 DE continues to cannibalize it with a stream of new and mildly exciting content, like the Hayastani/Sakart Velo DLC. Meanwhile, having a Stone Age RTS but with proper modern controls, unique skins like in the AoE 4, subtractive tech tree like AoE 1, and unique technologies and units, but not made-up ones, from AoE 2 can be very cool. The setting is unexplored and I really enjoy it. Anything earlier goes into the Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey territory, Rome and Middle Ages games are a Eurocent a 10. I doubt they will go flintlocks after releasing AoE 3 DE, and them covering the fall of the empires during the WW1 is just unlikely. With old age I didn't become any better at RTS games, I'm still sub-bronze in AoE 4 ranked. But why have I never finished these campaigns before? They are not that hard, and I've finished the same version of the game as I had back then. Surprisingly, but even the original version with partially dated mechanics and the poor unit AI is still fun to play in the current year.